Okay, so let's see in a part 2 of this lesson, global cache management. And let me go back here. This is part of a global cache management. We will see in our global cache management overview briefly, and then we're gonna see in a few examples. And global cache management provides a concurrency mechanism for multiple buffer caches. And we use it in a different buffer state to manage concurrency globally. And an optimization of a block access for read, and also optimization of a write for dirty buffers, and also a mechanism to optimize parallel queries. An LMS process is a global cache management background process. It manages in a buffer state, and also it updates global cache master resource, and also it receives a global cache shadow resource in a metadata information. And buffer states are visible in $, block header or buffer header, view, and status column. And there are important buffer state. And here, SCUR is to share the current. When session requests the block for select statement for query, then the shared current buffer state is used. And exclusive current for DML, the most current block must be provided to requesting instance, so exclusive current buffer state is used. And we learned what is a consistent read block. Before user commit a transaction, if another session requests the same block that contains committed uncommitted transaction, then consistent read block must be created. And also a PI block, it is converted from exclusive current. For example, session 1 currently have the exclusive current block, but another session requested this same block for another DML. Then exclusive current buffer state must be returned for the requesting instance, but the buffer that was exclusive current, it will become PI block. And we use a PI block for faster instance recovery in case of instance failure. In the next few slides, we're gonna get into several different scenarios: read from disk, and read and read, and read and write, and write to write and write, and write and read, and write to disk. And these are in different scenarios. So this is an example of 1, 2, 3, 4 node cluster. And we're going to work on this database block that contains the value 1008. And suppose that in a current master instance is instance D, meaning that instance D can modify the metadata on this resource. And this example, we have one session connected to instance C. And this session requested this block in the disk. And this is only for read. Okay? So it's not for modification. So in order to modify the block, we need in order to read the block, we need a shared current resource buffer state. So instance C can easily find out current location of master instance and the request. So send a message. I need block that can be managed by you, And can I get the block owned by you? So that is a request. So master instance will receive metadata. After receiving metadata, instance D, it will check current location. So according to this, current location is disk. So instance D, it will just simply the current share the current in a buffer state, and by getting this in a buffer state, we are able to read this block because we got the buffer state information, and you can modify the block in instance. We can read the block in instance C with the share the current buffer state. So we're gonna read and write it, and we're gonna read and cache it. So that's disk I/O. So disk I/O is done directly through instance C. And we also have another example here. And we have an instance B here. And instance B, it requested a block for DML. And where is the current location of a block? The current block location is here, instance C. However, instance B doesn't know the current location because that's managed by master instance. So instance B requests the block that is needed. So resource master instance receive request. Okay, so you need a block for DML, and we're gonna actually define that location and then return it to you. So that is the idea. So finally, the instance D, it located the current location, and then instruct instance C to release it. So the block is copied over to instance B, and the block that was current now snapshot consistent with the block, and instance B received the block and modified. So the most current block image is located in instance B right now. Because this was current, but after copying this block to instance B, and this requesting instance modified because it requested the exclusive current buffer state. So the most current block is now in here, in this location. Now we have another request. Now instance A, it also requests the same block for DML, but to update another row in the same block. And instance D, it can easily locate location of a current block, which is the instance B, and instruct instance B to transfer this resource to instance A. So instance A received it, and instance the A modified it, and then notify instance D about this change. Now when you look at here, the block that was current in instance B is not in exclusive current anymore, but it was exclusive current, but now it got modified to a PI, passed image, which means that this block was current, but since we had another DML through another instance, and we granted exclusive current to instance A, however, I still keep the block that was current. Why? Because if you have instance crash in here, I can use this PI block and apply minimal redo to recover block in memory. So it gives you a faster instance recovery benefit. So that's another example. And also we have another example, instance C, it is requesting a block for read. So the most current block is in instance A right now. So instance A, this will release block for instance C, And instance C, it receives it, and the buffer state in instance C, it may be a consistent reader block or shared COM block. Now, this is two possible cases. From instance A, if a transaction has been committed, then, and this will be shared current, and the shared current block will be copied. However, if this block never been decommitted, then to support read consistency, consistent reader block must be created and must be copied over to instance C, which means that whether transaction has been committed in instance A or not, and based on that, the different buffer state is transferred. So that's an example. So as you can see, depending on different scenarios, we can grant share the current for read, exclusive current for DML, and the exclusive current can be converted to PI for faster instance recovery. And also, whenever requested a block, we always had to work with the master instance, and master instance always locate current location of a block and then release it to requesting instance. So all instances work together to keep same image and to keep consistency. And if this were in a multi-block request, it's exactly same. Example what we saw here, we only request a single block, but if this were in a multi-block request, the scenario will be exactly same. When multi-block reader requests occur, the instance doing I/O must acquire resource for each block in the current state. LMS, which is a global cache service, the process, it coordinates from requesting instance to the LMS on the mastering instance happens, and different blocks in the same multi-block read may have a different mastering instance. Makes sense? And dynamic remastering described earlier may help reduce the performance of overhead. And there are several scenarios from multi-block read as well, with a similar buffer state changes. And these are VDAL views that you can use to understand further on global resource management view. So if you have time, just describe these VDAL views and see which buffer state is available and which lock state is used. And you can also take a look at these VDAL views as well. Okay, so we have a quiz here. Which statement about the global resource directory is not true? And global resource metadata is held in the global resource directory. Makes sense? An object under global concurrency control is called an asset. And global NQ resources are used for NQs and instance locks. And global cache resources are used for buffer cache control, so that's cache management. And also, the global resource directory is distributed among all active instances of each database or ASM environment. Okay, so the wrong answer is B. B is not the answer. Okay, so this was the second part of lesson 7. I briefly gave you an overview of a global cache management and also 4 different scenarios of a single block transfer, and also brief introduction to multi-block scenarios as well. And this is for lesson 7.